Showing up is half the battle. Guess what? We have a Crew 9 that came back to Earth today or at the end of yesterday. So we have here NASA's astronaut Suni Williams, Butch Gilmore. We have here Nick Hague and cosmonaut Aleksandr Gorbunov. Four four individuals that came back to Earth. Now, what was amazing, we have here the two astronauts here, Aleksandr and Nick, that have been to the space station since September 24th, 2024. So about 5 months, maybe a little bit more, 6 months. And then we have Suni Williams and Wilmore that have been in the space station since June 5th, 2024. So they were in the space station for more than 5 months. No, more than 9 months. So what happens here is that the topic today is about resilience. So when you think of resilience, resilience is showing up, and showing up is half the battle. So that's what happened here with these individuals at the space station. We have here the two astronauts from Boeing. When they came in June, they showed up, and that was great. But they noticed that because of tech, that the way back was not to happen in June 2024, but there was a delay for 9 months. So what did they do? Instead of worried and just whining, possibly, they decided to step up, and they became full-fledged member of the ISS. It allowed them to be doing what astronauts do, making sure they maintain the International Space Station. They made sure that they also did the experiments, and they did what astronauts did. Now, keep in mind that think about you going for vacation, people go and take a flight, they notice that the flight is delayed for 2 hours, for a day, and people don't like it at all. So for here, we have astronauts that their flight back was delayed for 9 months. So that's what I called resilience. Now, resilience can be learned. The only way I think to build resilience is that when you have the opportunity to outgrow yourself. So let's see if we can go to the English dictionary. Let's see. So we have here from the Cambridge Dictionary. If you look at resilience, it says the ability to be happy and successful again after something difficult or bad has happened. So here we have astronauts that have gone to space. The way there was amazing, but then the return, there were some difficulties and something bad happened. Not that bad because they were able to come back here on Earth. So they showed resilience. They had no choice but to adapt. If you look at the other definition of resilience, the ability of a substance to return to its usual shape after being bent, stretched, or pressed. These are part of experiments we do in astronomy because sometimes you can deform metals, and then when they're in space, they will open up. They do that with the antenna, and it's just amazing. So going here, as I mentioned, we have a team that did great. And I'm going to do some parallel with what happens in our lives, in the job, and as well as students. But first of all, let's see if we can have a look at their return. So I did some timing to see them coming back, and it's just something that is amazing. So let's see if I can do something like this. So this is from the NASA YouTube channel. So here we are at 2 hours. So the program was 2 hours and 15 minutes. So here we're at 2 hours and 2 minutes. I'm going to turn off here the sound, and let's see. So the first person that came out was Nick Hague, and here coming up, he was in space for 6 months. And when they come out, they do need help because they haven't lived through gravity for a long time. The doctors have to look at them. So here, look at this. He hasn't got up and stood on solid ground with gravity for 6 months. So think of the blood rushing to the feet. I'm sure they were a bit lightheaded, but there's a wave. So he was great. So that's outstanding. We have the second person that came through was Roscosmos cosmonaut Aleksandr Gorbunov, and that was at 2 minutes 5. So let's see if I can go a little bit more. 2 minutes 5, and we are, let's see, right here. So we can see. So they've been in the space station for 6 months. They did their shift, as you could see. We had the crew 10 came on board the ISS a few days ago, and here they are returning. And there we go. He's getting up. He needs some help. Don't forget that he hasn't used his muscles the way that we do on Earth. And I was listening to some journalists, and they were saying that think of us on Earth, everything is weighing down, including our clothes on our skins. Look at this. He's happy to be back. That's amazing. Even the clothes on our skin will create friction, and these individuals need to get used to that feeling again. So the next person coming out is Suni Williams. So here at the 2 hours and 8 minutes. So let's see. So we are here at 8 minutes. So for the next two, we have Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore. They've been in space for 9 months. So here they haven't lived through the gravity for that long. But what's amazing, if you look at them, they are happy to be back on Earth and safe. And look at this. You'll see she has a great smile, and it's just amazing. So look at this. So with some help, there we go. With the big smile, she's happy to be back. Nice. And she's going to get a little help. 1, 2, 3, and go. There we go. Excellent. So there we go. So we have the third person coming out. The last person is Butch Wilmore, and it's at 2 hours and 9 minutes. So let's see. So here are the 4 people coming back. So keeping in mind that the last time we had Hague and we had, Nick Hague and cosmonaut Aleksandr Gorbunov. Only the 2 of them went to space to free up 2 spots for the other 2 astronauts. Look at this. Is going to be coming up in the moment. So 1, 2, 3, and there we go. Standing up on solid ground, something he hasn't done in 9 months. Very nice. So let's see if we're going to have a little wave. I forget. There we go. So he's happy to be back. So that is quite amazing. So I'm very proud of them. Very nice. Now, so if you think of resilience, this can happen when you have work. So you have a new job, you have your own company. And resilience can be learned because when you are doing your activities day in, day out, sometimes things happen, things that are difficult, in which case you need to build your skills to be able to face them. Sometimes it's something that you've never experienced. Then you have to go out of your comfort zone to actually be better and face that situation. Now, showing up is half the battle. The other half is for you to take your sleeves, bring them up, and then do what needs to be done to succeed. Now, it's not always easy, and I do believe that often we need to ask for help so that people with experience can help us with things we need to do. Now, if you were to take resilience also to talk about students going to school, half the battle is to show up. But the whole thing here is that students do not learn through osmosis. So just being at school in a class is not enough for them to learn. They do learn through building the resilience in the topic that they need to do. So if you think of high school, or if you take people from, let's say, from 12 years old all the way to 18 years old, they've learned to write essays, for example, by the time they go to grade 12. But they started with some paragraphs, few paragraphs, then they got with short essays, then long essays, and there was more and more depth in their thinking. You cannot ask someone in grade 5 to do a 5-paragraph essays on a topic they don't know about. So the purpose of going to school is to build resilience so that when you have to do something that is a bit more difficult, you can practice to get it done. And in school, every day, the plan is to learn something new so that when you are facing with a lab that you have to do, an essay you have to write, a test or an evaluation, you have a chance to have experienced some of it. You've built resilience to do so. So that's important. The only way to build resilience is actually to do the work. So I do appreciate I was listening to a video from Alex Hormozy earlier today, and he was saying that often if you think of being successful, the first thing is to show up, which is have the battle, The second is to be consistent and to be able to put the effort to try to get better, which is the other half. And the third part is to go for the long run. You might need 10 years to achieve what you want to do. But here you can build resilience and get better and better. So this is the video we have today. So it's about resilience, knowing that these astronauts and cosmonauts that came back to Earth were amazing. Let's see if I can show. There was an amazing picture earlier. Look at this. Very nice. So a great example of resilience. Same thing with our job as a parent, as a student in school. Resilience is learned. That means that you need to be in a situation where it's difficult or something you haven't seen, so that you are put in a situation where you're learning something new. That's the only way. Sometimes we don't always succeed, but trying something new, learning from it, the only thing that can happen is that we can get better, which is the purpose of learning, purpose of going on with day to day and having a successful life. On this is the podcast we have tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you have any comments, a story about resilience, please put them in the comments at the end of this podcast. If you have a question, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments below. I always read your comments. On this, have an amazing day, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a nice